Alrighty, good morning, welcome back. Tuning in again. This time it is Wednesday, the 11th of January. I am 11 days into this daily audio journal, and it is challenging. I guess that's a good word to use, challenging. I find it challenging because I have to get up and I have to talk for 10 fucking minutes minimum on this thing about God knows what. I don't know what's going to come out of my mouth. I'm sitting here trying to think about what I want to talk about on this thing. And there's nothing. My brain just goes empty. It's almost like there's a pressure to perform, and my brain's just like, nope. I also want it to be known on the record that we're 11 days into 2023, and I still have a Christmas tree up in my living room because my wife and I have been so busy that taking down the Christmas tree seems like the last thing we want to do. Putting it up was grueling. Taking it down is going to be even worse, especially because you're losing that memory of Christmas. I guess maybe I could talk a little bit about family. I got to be careful when I talk about family because A, people are going to know who I am, and so they're going to know who my family are. And B, I come from a broken home. And so it makes it a challenge to talk about family, but it is such a I guess a raw thing to talk about. And if there's any way to do it, it's this place, because this is, I'm just sitting here talking to a fucking microphone by myself. And so I kind of want to riff off my ideas about family. And I guess just what I've been thinking, especially in recent months or years. Family is strange. Family is strange. You know the saying, blood is thicker than water. And I'm sure most of you also know that isn't about family necessarily. It was about, let me just quickly Google it. It's about the blood of the coven or something. The blood of the coven is, let's Google that. Blood of the coven is thicker than the water of the womb. And it basically means you're closer to, or you can be closer to people who are like-minded. Like a coven of witches, for example, are all witches, no matter where they came from. It's thicker than the water of the womb. Like their family might disagree with the way they choose to live, but the family that they create is stronger. The bonds are stronger. Anyway, I just think I think about it in a few different ways. Family's strange, right? Everybody's idea of family is different. And I think we need to acknowledge that. I think that's a super, super important thing to acknowledge, because families are made up of different people. And if every different person has a different idea of how family should be and how they should behave and how they should interact with one another, you're going to have points of contention. There's going to be issues. And I find from not only my family, but families that I am involved with or that I have seen before, the ones that have the least drama have what can only be described as unconditional love. It doesn't matter what you do, it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter the mistakes you make, it doesn't matter, none of that matters, because they love you regardless. And I think when you lose unconditional love, it comes from pain. It's out of fear of being hurt. I will only love you under this condition, because if I love you unconditionally, you're going to do whatever you want, and that is going to be painful for me. And so there are so many things that I want to talk about on here that I just can't say to the people in my family in person. And a huge part of that is because they all think about family differently. And I find it challenging. I choose to have the people in my life. The people who are in my life, anyone who's listening to this, if you're in my life, and if you're not part of my life and you want to be, there's a reason that the people are in my life. So I think this is probably the time to listen up. There has to be a mutual respect there. Anyone that I choose to be in contact with, I have unconditional love for. Doesn't matter what they do, doesn't matter what they say, doesn't matter how much it hurts to have them in my life, I love them unconditionally. Now, the people in my family that I choose to not have contact with, or at least have less contact with, my phone's always open. My number's always there. You can call me anytime. You can text me anytime. And I love you unconditionally too. But I fear that if I have you close to me, that you will hurt me. And I think that there's something so potent about that. I choose to stay away because if I get close, I will get hurt. And I think that sucks. That sucks so much when you have these bonds and you have this these relationships and you know people on a far more intimate level, right? Because I guess they're family and you're included in the conversation when it comes to family conversations. I just wish sometimes that the people in my family understood what true unconditional love meant and how that looked. My mother and my birth father got divorced when I was very young. They split up when I was 2. I met my dad when I was 7 years old in the Woolworths at Lanyon Shopping Centre over in Canberra, all the way over the south side, in a Lanyon bread aisle at Woolworths. I met him for the first time. That was surreal. I was looking at toys with my little sister. Sorry. I was looking at toys with my little sister, and my mum had walked off. She said, "Hey, I'll be back in a second." We're like, "Okay, fuck yeah, toys. Let's have a look at these toys." And she comes back a couple minutes later and she says, "Hey, your dad's here. Do you want to meet him?" And we were like, "What? What are you talking about? Dad's here?" And she took us around the aisle, and he was there with his brother. And it was the weirdest thing. It was the first time I'd seen grown adult men cry. And I was wary as well of grown adult men because I didn't have them around. I only ever really knew mum as an authority figure, as a parental figure. So when mum's telling me that this man that smells of alcohol and cigarettes, who's holding me and crying, is my dad, there was conflicting emotions of excitement and also, why is he not like the dads that my friends have? You know, where's his business shirt? Where's his clean cut? You know, why am I meeting him in the bread aisle of a fucking Woolworths? And I think there's something so potent about that. Something so potent's not the right word. There's an element of that where it's beautiful, right? Like, it's given me a perspective on family, and I truly believe that family is a choice. And I guess, yeah, for lack of better words, the idea of family that my father had was conditional love guised or under the disguise of unconditional love. So, behave in a certain way and we will invite you to things, do certain things and we will invite you. Like, we had to jump through hoops to be in his life. But then he would argue that, like, gaslight us, I guess, into saying like, no, I've tried to be a dad. I've tried hardest to be a dad. I didn't know where you guys were, blah, blah, blah. He just, he never really gave a shit. And I guess that didn't hurt really until I was older. I didn't really pay it much mind because mum filled that void. Mum was mum and dad for so long. And then she met my stepdad when I was about 11. I was just finishing, I think I was in my last year of school. I was about to go into my last year of school. At primary school, sorry. And he changed our lives. Completely changed our lives. Mum was addicted to pot. She was smoking pot every day. Sometimes to the point where, she was hemorrhaging money and going into debt so that she could fuel that. And I don't judge her. Mum, if you're listening to this, there's no judgment there. I understand 100% that was a coping mechanism. Life was fucking tough. Raising 2 kids, being the sole provider for them, not getting any support from our father through child support, and living in constant fear that he was going to come and try and do some damage, take you out. He had the attitude, if I can't have you, no one can. And so, running away from him was the only option. Anyway, my stepdad, he completely changed our life. He, over the course of years, and he's still in my life today, I love him dearly. Over the course of my teenage years, he taught me how to drive. He taught me how to shave when I started growing facial hair. I had my first beer with him. He taught me how to mow a lawn. He taught me the difference between respect and disrespect. He taught me how to love even the flawed parts of myself. He showed me how to show love to my little sister. He bought me a bike. It wasn't my first bike, but we were at a school fete and I saw a bike and I was like, yo, I really want that. It was only $20 or something and mum couldn't afford it, but he bought it for me. And even today, he still is helping out with a lot of things and he's involved and he really showed me what it means to be a father. And coming back full circle, we both chose to have each other in our life. When he started dating my mum, he knew she came with children and he chose to stick around and chose to help raise us. And that's more than Colin ever did. Probably shouldn't have said his real name, but fuck it. It's more than my father ever did. I guess it comes back to that. The blood of the coven is thicker than the water of birth or whatever the fuck that was. I didn't have a good relationship with my father or his family because there was an expectation there that I had to hate my mother as well. I couldn't go there without having some form of resentment for my mother just by the way that they were talking. And it made me so uncomfortable. Imagine putting a 9-year-old in that position. And so we're going through these issues now where, my step siblings are not talking to my stepdad, and all these other issues. And I guess, they're choosing to have their own life. But when the question is asked, why am I not involved? How can you be my step sibling if you don't choose to have the same dad? Our relationship pivots and is hinged on that one relationship. That's the only way that we're connected. And quite frankly, the way that you choose to live your life and behave, especially towards the people that show you unconditional love, and trust me, I know what conditional love looks like, and it fucking sucks. You push away people that show you unconditional love because they have different ideas than you, rather than trying to educate them or love them back or allowing them to live separate lives. You push them away, and you hold things like grandchildren over them. You say you're doing it for your future kids, but you're the problem. This wasn't supposed to turn into a confessional, and I know that they're probably going to listen to this, but I think the conversation needs to be had anyway, and I'm willing to be the one who kicks off the reparations. At the end of the day, I love and I respect all of you. This is to my family, by the way. I love and respect all of you, and I have unconditional love for you. I'm always here if you need. But I'm not always going to be here when you want. And I think there's something that needs to be, that's something that needs to be addressed. I have a hard time understanding how you can push someone away who loves you and loves all of your faults and has tried so hard to be a better person for the sake of your relationship with him, and you still choose to fuck around and be exclusive and blame and ridicule and never once, not once, look at your own behavior and think, hey, wow, God, I've been a selfish cunt. I've been a right fucking prick. Probably shouldn't have gone off as much as I did here. I just, family's a sore spot for me. Growing up, I know that I want to be a man to my kids that my father never was, and I want to be the man that my stepdad is to me, to my children. I've got such a great role model, and it just sucks that the people that he loves unconditionally can't show him the same respect and same love back. I'm sorry.